Let's talk about dogs. Canis familiaris. It's actually the first animal domesticated by humans. And I'd like to start out by asking, how many of you have a dog? Or have had a dog? We've all had our dogs, and we've all had the opportunity to have dogs as such wonderful companions because dogs have a fondness for garbage. You might get mad when a dog gets into the garbage, and this is something that dogs do a lot. But in fact, the reason that dogs are domesticated is because certain dogs were less afraid of humans and able to approach human refuse piles. Humans would hunt, and then they'd throw the carcasses and they'd throw the bones in piles. And certain dogs would come much closer to the garbage and they would scavenge. And those dogs were self-selected for less fear and for being able to approach humans. They separated themselves from the wild wolves. The wolves continued to hunt, and we still have wolves, but in fact, all our dogs are the same species as the wolves, and they're able to interbreed. You can have wolf-dog crosses. You can actually have dog-fox crosses as well, but they're like mules. They're sterile. But these dogs that were more tame and less afraid of humans eventually became adopted. And there's various ideas of why they may have been adopted at first. We do find wild animal babies to be very cute. We also find dogs to be very cute. And dogs were self-selected for this tameness, and it turns out that humans may at some point have adopted these little puppies because they look like babies. They share a lot of the features of human babies. They have wide eyes and big smiles and kind of goofy little faces and out of proportion heads that are way too big for their bodies. These features that we see in dogs are almost an exaggeration of baby features, which is why we find dogs really cute and we want to adopt them. And this is a light into the psyche of how creatures interact. So we normally have very strong feelings of attachment towards our families and our friends that we develop. But it's amazing that we can develop these feelings of attachment and love with a completely different species. And indeed, it's not only that we adopt those creatures, those dogs, but they adopt us as those families. And it's amazing, just like the little chick, you can form these senses of attachment with creatures that aren't related to you in any way. Dogs have been shaped by their relationship with humans. And as I said, they're the first animal domesticated. In fact, more than 10 times older than any other animal domesticated. We first started domesticating livestock about 6,000 years ago. But dogs would follow around us in our hunting parties. And they were distributed throughout the entire world. Dogs were one of the first domesticated creatures in the Americas as well. There were domestic dogs in North America before any of the Europeans arrived. They were very useful for us, and they may have been adopted to provide warning, something they still do today. They can watch out for strangers approaching the camp because they have very good hearing. Dogs, you might say, have superpowers. Compared to humans, in some ways, they definitely do have superpowers. They have excellent hearing. They have very good night vision. They're able to communicate with humans. It's actually amazing that dogs speak two entirely different languages. Dogs not only speak dog language, but they also speak human body language. Dogs are one of the only creatures that can understand human gestures. Even chimpanzees and most apes don't understand pointing. So if you point at an object, your dog will know what you're getting at, and they'll actually be able to go and find that object. But an ape will really not understand that gesture. Dogs, in some ways, in these social skills, are amongst the most intelligent creatures, perhaps even the most intelligent creature other than humans in terms of these social communication skills. Dogs are extremely poor at problem solving. Wolves are much better at actually solving problems. But dogs are the brightest animals in terms of problem solving with a tool. And that tool is us. Dogs may not know how to open a door. Dogs may not know how to get things off a high counter, but they kind of know that you know how to do that. So a dog will sit and look, I don't know how to open that door, but I bet I know who does. And this is actually really remarkable. It seems strange, but most creatures, if you think about insects, they really don't, project life onto other creatures. They kind of react to stimuli. So they react to their environment. But it's actually really amazing. It's called a theory of mind. Dogs know that you are a separate entity who has its own thoughts and its own set of information. You can do a study where someone is given a ball and a dog is taken out of the room and the person hides the ball. And then the dog is brought into the room. And the dog knows that you know something that it doesn't know. It actually knows that it doesn't know where the ball is, but it knows that you know where that ball is. So it will look up at you and try to get clues from you. Most animals will say, I don't know where the ball is. But a dog will say, I bet we can solve this problem by looking at someone else who may have information that I don't actually have. And it's actually pretty advanced. Most animals can't realize that they're a separate entity that has different thoughts. So dogs are really quite amazing, and they've been sculpted by humans in a number of ways. So not only have we been changed by our furry companions, but they have been dramatically sculpted by us. Just think of the amazing variety of dogs. Early dogs were almost certainly just like wolves. And we do still see some of those features. But why does a dog have floppy ears? Why does a dog bark? Have you ever heard a wolf bark? Wolves don't bark, but dogs do. And the reason they do is because dogs have been selected for tameness. So the most tame wolves and the least afraid wolves would come to the humans, and those features of tameness are associated with other features of different hormones, lower testosterone, lower aggression. And these features of tameness are associated with other physical features like floppy ears and barks and waggy tails, and all these features we associate with dogs. Just think of the amazing diversity of dogs. If humans were like dogs, we'd have humans 3 feet high and 20 feet high. Dogs vary from these tiny little poofy white balls or little chihuahuas, hairless chihuahuas, to giant Great Danes, like a horse almost. There's an incredible variety, and all that variety has been sculpted by humans, human selection. So dogs selected themselves to be tame and to come and live with us, and we recognized their utility and adopted them into our families. It's not always clear who holds the leash, though, is it? We can train dogs, but they also train us to accomplish their goals. So it's not clear who actually gets the better deal. We get furry companions who are able to perform many tasks, such as sniffing for bombs or drugs or search and rescue, all these tasks that dogs do for us. And they get lots of garbage.